Hinds, Viva Hinds album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this latest album from indie rock band out of Madrid, Hinds. They've been at it for a little while now. They've been at it for some time, and over that time, I've honestly fell in love with a lot of their music. Many years ago, I picked up their Leave Me Alone debut album, and I fell in love with the very breezy songwriting, the sense of nostalgia and youthful love. It had everything from semi-drunken ballads to upbeat, wild garage rock, and I was there for it. It honestly made me feel young again listening to this album when it came out, which is why their follow-up album, I Don't Run, was such a letdown for me. God, compared to their debut, this album was so much more stiff and so much less fun. Some of the singles were okay, but overall, I couldn't get into this. So much so that when it came to their last album, The Prettiest Curse, I was not excited on it. But the reality is that the girls really matured on this record and blew up their sound to this arena-sized power pop and indie rock. So many of the hooks on here were incredibly memorable, and the gigantic, larger-than-life sound just really did more justice in their sound than I thought that it could. It ended up being probably my favorite album of theirs. Now, leading up to this album, I've had a lot of different thoughts on a lot of different singles. Some of them not so nice, but one way or another, I feel like Hinds are just on a really great track right now. I really love Hi, How Are You as an intro. It is just so quaint and sweet. The riff is a little gritty too, a little punky, nothing that we haven't heard from them. It's kind of what you expect, but I don't think that's a bad thing. It's flirty, it's sassy, it's sweet when it needs to be. And I really do love the crunchy guitar work on this track. It gives this one a little bit of a power pop flair. For a while now, I feel like the band's sound has matured with each record, and this just seems to be more following in that suit. It's a really memorable start to this album. I also still really love The Bed, The Room, The Rain, and You. My thoughts honestly haven't changed that much on this since I did a reaction to it a few weeks ago. It is a big, gaudy, synthy ballad that runs on emotion. And yeah, it's a little polished. It's far from the band's lo-fi beginnings. It's very 80s sounding at points. But Hinds just pours so much emotion into this. It is really memorable. Boom Boom Back, I have loved this track since it dropped as a single. And honestly, it's held up. It's one of the better indie rock tracks that I've heard all year. I love the sassy performances and the groovy riff that this track runs on. It also just really sticks with you. The hook is just so memorable. And Beck, who in 2024 is such a crapshoot, actually sounds really cool on this track. I really do love Stranger featuring Grand Chatton of Fontaines DC as well. It's almost got a little bit of a dreamy post-punk flair to it, a little bit, but it never strays away too far from its indie pop heart. I love how emotional and dreary and hard to place this track gets. And lyrically, it's one of the most impressive tracks on the entire record. I'm kind of surprised this wasn't dropped as a single. And Grand Chatton's performance, he sounds right at home. And Superstar, I'm going to admit, it took a little while to grow on me. But it's grown a lot on me over the last couple of weeks since it dropped. I mean, it is one of the more subtle tracks here, but there is still a lot of drive in that very subtle riff. Carlota and Anna just sound so emotional on this track, and the build up to this chorus is actually pretty awesome. And when it finally gets there, it sounds great. It is that same sort of larger-than-life, arena-sized sound of The Prettiest Curse, and it's done really well. Yeah, the whole first leg of this album is really impressive. Hinds just sound like they're in a really great place right now. And I don't have too many complaints, but I will say the one or two tracks that really stick out to me on here for the wrong reasons are really rough to listen to. Like Mala Vista, for one. God, this track, I'm sorry, it's butt ugly. This jittery riff just doesn't really impress me at all. It sounds like the ladies in Hinds are trying to play catch up, but they really weren't falling behind, so it's just awkward. Instrumentally, this track is just not really that pleasant to the ears, I feel like. And because of that, I'm not really into any of the performances on this cut. And my thoughts on Informa haven't changed at all. As a matter of fact, I think it's the worst track here. When it dropped as a single, I thought it was annoying and clunky, and it's lessened on me, honestly. I'm kind of surprised it even made the cut. They have done this sound so much better and so much catchier. I'm surprised that this is even here. I'm not into it. Outside of that, though, the ladies in Hinds continue to mature, and I feel like, man, this might just be their second best album. I love On My Own. It's just really breezy and upbeat and very carefree. Like, for a more upbeat track from the band, I would take this over Mala Vista in a heartbeat. The hook here is so simple, but it is so infectious. Everything about this track is just so easy to take in, and I love the attitude on display as well. And of all the singles that dropped leading up to this record, Coffee is probably the one that took the longest to grow on me. Instrumentally, I'm going to be real with y'all, it's not my cup of tea, at least as far as Hinds music goes. But on this one, they do win me over and keep me won over with their charm and their witty lyrics. And Bon Voyage, as a finale, is actually really cool and shows Hinds taking some unexpected risks. I love the dreary, hazy riff that starts this track out. It's one of the more interesting guitar works that I've heard from them in a while. And it transfers into this very steamy, very sultry jam that they do really well with. The performances are sweet and sultry. The personalities are on display. The band sounds great. I'm a fan of this record. I had my doubts going into it, but this is one of their most mature and just introspective albums to date. It just sounds like they're in a really great place right now. And yeah, one or two tracks are really just butt ugly. I'm sorry. But overall, this is very likable, very easy to take in, and very memorable indie rock record. I'm feeling a very light 8 on this one, but let me know what you all think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.